Is the KBM really trying to sell us Kirk Cousins? Help me.
Let's blow him off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the August 13th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right. Matthew Stafford again. I'm still not worried. Okay, I'm not saying his back doesn't hurt. I'm not saying they have to go real easy with him and they're going to put him in all these different chambers and all that kind of stuff. Doing this so you can see my bling. Anyway, the word I heard today via Adam Schefter is that if he needed to play, and we've heard this, I think, earlier this week, was he could play. The team remains privately optimistic. So what are we getting worked up about? But this is the part that cracks me up, how desperate the KBM is. And maybe I'm guilty because I didn't click on it, and maybe I should have clicked on it. But I saw the headline. I saw the opening statements there was Mike Florio, the NBC guy, suggesting to the Rams, when will the Rams start showing interest in Kirk Cousins? When will the Rams show interest in Kirk Cousins? Why on earth would you trade for Kirk Cousins? First, Kirk is older than Jimmy G. Kirk is more expensive than Jimmy G. Kirk is not as mobile as Jimmy G. And at this point, he's just not as good as Jimmy G. And I can't even imagine someone suggesting, this would be like saying, I don't know, the Lakers should trade Bronny for Joker to Denver, right? I mean, what a ridiculous presumption there. Again, go back to it. We don't have to panic. The Rams remained privately optimistic. If he needed to play, he could play. If everything was on the line and this was a playoff game, he'd be out there. Again, I'm not saying it's not nothing, but I'm saying I don't think we have to worry about this. I just don't think so. Not yet. Let's get to September 3rd. All right? Let's get to September 3rd. It's only August 13th right now. So let's go another 3 weeks, and then we'll see where it all lands, right? But I don't know why we're getting worked up on it. I guess there is some dead period desperation here. And so I understand, but man, that was just pretty brutal there. Pretty brutal. All right, Terrence Ferguson's back on the field. I saw a link where it's he's gotten an A-OK from Chris Long, which is all right. I'm glad Chris Long likes him, so that's all good and everything. But he's back on the field running routes. Hopefully, we'll get to see him against the Chargers on Saturday. We talked about this on Monday. Rams joint practice was confirmed. A little late with the news here, but just thought we'd get it out of the way. Tomorrow, mid-morning, they'll be having a joint practice with the New Orleans Saints. And I hope nobody of substance plays. I don't want to see anyone get hurt against the Saints. Just not at all. And then Steve Ramirez, you made the comment there in the box there. Just saw Coward pick the Seahawks in the West, Rams second, but making the playoffs. He has concerns about Stafford and the left tackle. Yeah, I saw that. We just kind of addressed the Rams issue here, but the other one that kind of cracked me up, he has, okay, Seahawks are ahead of the Rams, but he puts the 49ers in third and the Cardinals in fourth. And I think that's just a mass, and I'm not a Cardinal fan, but it is a massive misread of the Cardinals. Whatever you think of Kyler Murray right now, this is a massive misread by Coward, or just a real lazy one. Right now, the 49ers are fourth place. They're going to be dependent. Their backup running backs are getting hurt. The young guys are getting hurt, and the old guy is going to be healthy for 3 or 4 games. CMC, their old guys are at left tackle. They don't have anybody left in the wide receiver room. What are they talking about? You can make the argument I know people are going to bail on the Rams right now. This is Vegas in the spring of 2023 saying the Rams were going to win 4.5 games. This is J-Mac in July of 2023 saying the Rams are going to have a defense that may be one of the worst in history. Yeah, they said those things. But I think if I was a gambler right now, and I'm not because I don't really understand it completely, I'd actually start taking odds on the Rams because I'm not worried. I'm just not worried. I think if you got some concerns about left tackle, but your guy is DJ Humphries, all right, I'm good. If you got some concerns about quarterback and your backup is Jimmy G, I'm good. This isn't left tackle Bobby Evans, Joe Noteboom in his latter years with the Rams backing up Alaric Jackson. And this isn't Blake Bortles, John Wolford, Kellen Clemens as a backup. This is a Super Bowl quarterback. This is a proven veteran, Super Bowl quarterback in Jimmy G. It's a proven veteran that has played left tackle, maybe came back too soon, according to some, when he was with KC last year. And so, well, what are we getting worked up about? Okay, I've said the Rams could lose 2 NFC West games. I don't know who it's going to be, but because the NFC West is not a cakewalk. But yeah, I think I'd still. I don't know how it works, but if people are bailing on the Rams right now, I think this would be the time to jump in. What do you guys think? I'm kind of curious about that. All right, Steve Ramirez back in. I think it's the first time I agreed with J-Mac. Yeah, didn't J-Mac say he was a little crazy for that? Didn't he go off on him a little bit? I thought so. That was kind of healthy for a change. Far too often, J-Mac kind of just nods his head sometimes, but on this one, I thought he was pretty good. Again, let's go over the room here real quick. Steve Ramirez brought it in again. If they can win the division with Jimmy G, do you have concerns if Bennett is backup? Do have concerns if Bennett is the backup? Backup band has to play. Right now, I'm feeling kind of good about Stetson Bennett. I am. I think this guy's highly motivated right now. If Jimmy G ends up being the starter for a significant stretch and Stetson Bennett is the backup, I think the Rams are going to go to war with Stetson Bennett as number 2. They went to war with John Wolford. I think they're going to go to war with Stetson Bennett. And I think Bennett's a 2-time NCAA champion. This is a guy that's overcome some personal demons. This is a guy that knows it's now or never, right? To quote Elvis, right? And so he's gonna throw caution to the wind. And so I'm okay with that. There's not a third guy I want more than Stetson Bennett right now. And if Jimmy G, who has a glass jaw, we know, but if Jimmy G gets the job, who's out there? Who do you make a move for? Would you mortgage real serious draft capital for Kirk Cousins? I mean, who would you bring in? That's the other question, and has to learn the system. Unless Baker Mayfield gets released at midseason and does an encore performance, I don't know what I'd do. I'd love to hear some breakdowns on that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just kind of curious how that looks. Neil Gonzalez, thank you for joining us. Hi, Pastor Joe. Do you think the Rams are going to keep 4 running backs? Funny, we're going to talk about that right now. Forgotten Lol Cow, Cowboy fan. A lot hinges on Stafford's health. I'm still confident we can win the division, but Seattle's a sneaky good team, assuming Darnold can keep his level of play from last year. And we are going to talk about the Seahawks when I get a little more into the NFC West there. The Seahawks, I think, are going to be good. I do. I think both them and the Cardinals are going to be good. They're on the ascent. I don't think they're there yet because I think there's some issues there on that Seahawk offensive line still. Okay, so I wanted to run over the roster real quick. 3 quarterbacks will probably make the squad, right? Stafford, Garoppolo, Stetson Bennett. Dresser Wynn gets to go back to his day job, and all his friends get to pat him on the back and say, dang, dude, you were in Rams camp. So there we go. Now you get to the running backs, and there's 6 in the house. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and Jarquez Hunter. You cannot keep more than 4. And right now, that's Cody Schrader, right? To me, that's Cody Schrader. I like Ronnie Rivers. I like Ronnie Rivers' story. And Jordan Waters is a kid that's going to get cut and put on the practice squad probably if he's not claimed by somebody else. But I see at most 4. And then I wanted to talk about looking at the offensive room. in terms of how many you keep on the active 53. Okay, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, those are your first four. Xavier Smith beats out Britton Covey. Kanata Mumpfield, after spending $13,000 for a dinner, he's going to make the team, right? Will the Rams keep a seventh? No, if Covey's not beating out Xavier Smith, he's not going to stay on this team. Drake Stoops, I like him. Brennan Presley is making some noise. He could be the Nelson Spruce. True Edwards, Mario Williams. I think Mario missed his shot. I think if any one of those guys, Brennan has a chance. Drake Stoop has some age. So right now I see the Rams keeping 6 receivers. So 4 running backs, 6 receivers. That's 10, 13 players total there with the quarterbacks. And then you look at the tight ends. Someone's going to have to play themselves off this roster because I don't think Colby Parkinson at this point or Davis Allen is just going to be put in the street. Rams went with 4 tight ends at the end of last year when Higbee came back. That 4th guy was Hunter Long. They moved off of him. They brought in Terrence Ferguson. Anthony Torres is already gone. They brought in the other kid, Callister, I think, and then Redmond. But Rams could go with 4 tight ends. That's 17. That takes you to the offensive line. So you've got Jackson, Avila, Shelton, Dotson, and Havenstein as starters. That takes you to 22. All right. DJ Humphries is going to make this team. That's 23. Warren McClendon is going to make this team. That's 24. I'd have a hard belief that Bo Limmer does not make this team. 25. And then you get into one more guy there. What is that? 5, 6, 7, 8. A 9th guy, Dylan McMahon, Justin Diedick. They seem to like Wyatt Bowles. I'm so interested in KT Leviston. He's so huge. I want to see him get a shot. And then, of course, there's everyone's darling, Willie Lampkin. That could get contentious. I'm guessing 9. Would you say 10? But 9 takes you to 26. That takes you to 26. So it could get a little tight there. I think there's players we like. I think Quisenberry could be traded. He's got some NFL mileage on him that might make him worth something to somebody that maybe has someone go down, but it's going to be real interesting, real interesting. Let's see. Neil Gonzalez, I heard Carson Wentz is available. Carson Wentz, man, the man without a country, right? Nobody seems to want to keep this guy around for a second year. I don't know. I don't know about Carson Wentz. I think if there was like a super dire emergency, he played well week 18 in 2023, but they went with Jimmy G and let him go to Kansas City. He played week 18 in Kansas City, and now he's out in the street somewhere. So Carson Wentz is kind of an enigma, right? It's kind of weird what's going on with him. Thomas Wilson, Schrader is the real deal. He's more talented than Ronnie Rivers. That's just all I got to say. He's a little bit younger than Ronnie Rivers, right? And that's just it. That's just it. I like Ronnie Rivers, but I think the Turk is coming down the hall and asking for him to come to the office. That's what I think before August is over, or maybe that first week of September, and we'll see. So there we go. Okay, let's keep moving along, guys. Keep throwing the questions there. I'm going to save the defensive players maybe for the back end of the show. If not, we'll get to it on Friday. But here we go around the NFL and other places. But before I do that, I'm Joe Chirozin, a sports writer for about 21 years. Still am, kind of. I provide content for Mid-Valley Sports. I was one of the guys that helped start Mid-Valley Sports. I don't really work there. I just help Peterson and Barker out. They run the show there. They're in the room. They cover the Chargers. NFL column by Tim Burns is active there right now. He posted a great column this week on just what's going on around the NFL. I encourage you to check that out at midvalleysports.com. If it got squashed down, just click on the pro football button that's there, and you'll get it all in. But we do this show. They cover the Chargers. I do this show thanks to Kistler Law and our sponsors and their support. I get to do this show because of Kistler Law and you guys buying my books. So I do appreciate that. All my books are on Amazon. Just type in Joe Tarosian and you'll see it. And yeah, I got a number of books. I don't know. Do I want to hold them all up here? But they're there. Type in my name. 2 high school football novels and 1 novel about a fictional NFC championship game between the Rams and the Green Bay Packers at SoFi. So you might want to check that one out. Every time you buy one, it helps me in my day job. I pastor a very small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. However, for these next 3 weeks, I am on vacation from that job, so there won't be any new content. And check us out on Spotify, and of course, check us out on iHeart for our podcast there. We could really use the traction. All right. What else we got here? Let's see here. I'm sorry, guys. Boom, I hit the wrong button. Tim Powers. Sorry, Rivers. Rams are going to old yell at you. Not a hard call. Dude, that's funny. That's funny, right? And I don't think anyone's going to come back and say Old Yeller just saved your life, right? Because even Ronnie Rivers got hurt in 2023 when he stepped in for Kyron. Remember? He even got hurt then. So, yeah. Thomas Wilson, one of the deepest Rams rosters I've seen. I agree with you, right? And going back to what Steve Ramirez brought up at the top of the show about Colin Cowherd, he's always going off on, oh, that is one of the deepest rosters. You know, the Lions, the Eagles, the Ravens. He's really hot for the Ravens now. He used to say that about the 49ers, but I'm looking at this Ram roster, and honestly, I think the KBM completely doesn't get it, right? Which is really interesting, too, because I'm not going to talk much about it. Did you see the link on what the second most valued franchise in the NFL is right now? That the Cowboys came in at $12 billion and the Rams came in at $10 billion? You'd think they'd be a little more in the consciousness and the talk, but they're always an afterthought. The Rams are always an afterthought with the general media and the KBM, but I do think it's a deep roster. That's why, man, I don't want to lose time for Stafford, but Jimmy G is not a bad backup. I don't want to lose time. I want Eric Jackson out there, but DJ Humphries is a nice insurance policy, right? So you're right. You nailed it there, Wilson. Neil Gonzalez, Schrader runs through the defense too. Rams have some bulldozers. I like everything about him. I really do. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Jim Bertelsen, but I do like Neil. I do like Schrader, Neil Gonzalez. Manny Vasquez. The disrespect the Rams get in the media is real. Yeah, right? It's visceral. It's tangible. It really seems like it. It does. It does. It's like if Matthew Stafford was in Dallas, if Matthew Stafford was in another city doing exactly what he's done with the Rams, there wouldn't be any talk about where he ranks. No discussion about his bona fides for Canton. No issues. But I'm telling you, there is something that's real there, really there. Let's see. We are Rodney's Rams, ESG. We get no respect at all. There you go. I had a Rodney joke. I'll hold off on that one. I don't want to look stupid, but that's funny. Neil Gonzalez, your thoughts on the final score this Sunday? Hey, is that game Sunday or Saturday? Can someone help me out? I thought it was Saturday. Is the Rams Chargers on Sunday or Saturday? Quick programming note. I am probably going to do a Rams this broadcast on Friday morning because I'm going to Solvang with my wife. And on Friday night, I'm going out to a fancy restaurant. So I'm sorry, guys, just things I got to do. But I am going to be able to watch the game. But is that Saturday or is that okay? Forgotten locale. Thank you so much. It is Saturday. So the Rams Chargers on Saturday. I don't know the score. I really don't. It's hard to say. I think Harbaugh is going to be really careful about putting guys out there. I think Stetson Bennett is going to flex some muscle. I think guys like Brennan Presley, Drake Stoops, Mumfield, some of those guys, and some of those linemen with an opportunity to maybe make the squad, make an impression. I'm going to say Rams 35-17. There you go. Book it. Rams 35, Chargers 17. You got that? And if it turns out the Rams win 35-17, fair warning, you can unfriend me now or unsubscribe because I will be intolerable. All right. You thought I was bad over Emmanuel Forbes. I'll be even worse now. All right. Thank you so much for giving me that update. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Forgotten locale, the fruits of a well-run organization. When was the last time the Rams had an off-season theatrics like Dallas? No, none. Even Les Snead sets the tempo. Kroenke has stayed out of the way. Let's just say it, I mean, I know I'm not supposed to mention Voldemort here, or he who must not be named, Jeff Fisher. But hey, let's remember Jeff Fisher and, his 7-9 Bolshoi line. Jeff Fisher is great getting your team from 2-14, 1-15, getting it up to 7-9, maybe 8-8 or something, right? He's good at that. Remember the receiver first episode of Hard Knocks that broke the violation and brought a girlfriend to his bedroom? And Fisher says, "You didn't understand what I said?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I did." And the guy gave an explanation, and Fisher says, "Yeah, but you're gone." Even Fisher wasn't really drama in that way. Fisher kept promoting tight end coaches to OC. There was some issues there and hiring his son, but there wasn't a lot of drama with that, right? And I think that was Snead, and I think Fisher was a grown-up, who's mature, a veteran coach. I hate that word grown-up. I feel like I stole a cowardism there. But they did all that. And then McVay has just been far more of a step above. So Rams don't have that drama. And then Jerry Jones creates the drama because he's evaluating his talent. No one else is evaluating talent. Jerry Jones is looking at his son. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Did you hear him rave about Joe Milton? Did you ever talk about Joe Milton, that he feels like he almost stole Joe Milton? The Patriots are going, I got a 5th-round pick for Joel Milton. In the 5th round, I can get a Puka Nacua, right? I'm going to keep that. They're so lost in Dallas. So lost in Dallas, forgotten. And I know you're a fan, man. I don't mean to slam you. Sorry about that. Bill, ESG had the top 4 teams to win the NFC: Washington, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Detroit. Help me understand Frisco. If they made an argument for the Cardinals, I could defend it. If they made an argument for the Seahawks, I could defend it. I'm not even doing this because I'm anti-49er. I just can't make an argument for it. I can't. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I can't. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, how concerning is the Stafford injury? Go back to the top of the show, hit rewind. We quote Schefter. Schefter said that if Stafford had to play in a must-win game, he would be playing. Rams remain privately optimistic, and we're optimistic, and we don't want anything to do with some Mike Florio proposed trade for Kirk Cousins. There we go. That caught you up there. All right, there we go. Forgotten locale, Saturday, 4 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Samuel Ansley. Ainsley. Howdy, Joe. How much practice does Stafford need to be able to start game 1? I say at least 1 week. Otherwise, let Jimmy G start. He's a veteran, and I think he could start without practice. I think he could, as long as he's flexible, mobile, and all that, and out of pain. There's no problem there. But I'm kind of curious. I want to do a deeper dive, and I haven't. Maybe you guys have already beat me to it. I want to see how the Texans are going to fare against the run. They got their pass rushers. They got their pass, Danielle Hunter and the kid from Alabama. His name is slipping me. Anderson. Is it Anderson? They got their edge guys, but I seem to remember they were struggling up the gut. And I get the feeling, especially if you're running 12 personnel, Rams are going to pound this ball. And so Havenstein, Dotson going to the right. I think it would be okay. I think Stafford could play. I would trust him. And if he can't do it, he'll be the first one to say it. But timing-wise, I would trust Stafford. That guy's throwing more passes, from here to the moon and back, right? So I would trust him. Forgotten locale. Chargers should be a good test for the offers. I would love Coach Minter. I love what Coach Minter does with their defense. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he has Michigan roots, doesn't he? Isn't that where he brought him from? He has Michigan roots and stuff. So I like the Chargers. I think they got a problem there on the offensive line that no one's talking about, and that kind of came to the surface as Mekhi Becton, but we could talk about that there in a second. Chargers should be a test for the offense. There you go. Neil Gonzalez, their jealousy for the Rams is because LA is the sports and entertainment capital of the world. Do you think it's that? Do you think it's that? I remember it seems like less of an issue. I just remember the Rams, again, remember they couldn't win in the snow, right? I remember Norm Van Brocklin was quoted as calling the Rams the prune pickers back in '73. He was taking shots at the Rams when he was the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, right? The cold in Minnesota in '69, the cold in Minnesota in '74, the cold in Minnesota in '76. And then, of course, the rain in '77. There was always Rams are fair weather and all this stuff. Yeah, I think that's just a narrative, right? And I'll say this, too. This falls on Demoff and Kroenke a little bit. This cultivation of the soft Hollywood culture and that cultivation of The Rock and doing all that ridiculous stuff, as opposed to trying to reach for the people that live in the San Gabriel Valley and the San Fernando Valley. Now, maybe those folks can't afford to go to the games like the West Side people can go, but they are the diehard crew. They're the crew that's right here. They're the crew that's going to stick with the Rams, be upset. But those other folks, those West Siders, the second a better show comes along, they're gone. And when you're going after that crew's ephemeral. That crew's temporary. And what you need to do is cultivate the diehards, so the diehards have a platform that their team supports, that they can come back and call ESPN stupid and everyone else ridiculous for the disrespect they give this franchise. I give full credit to the Packers, the Steelers, the Chiefs, heck, even the Raiders for cultivating their base that sticks with them no matter what. That's why I want to go to a tailgate at Arrowhead, right? Get some really good food, right? That would be one of my dreams. There you go. All right, I got preachy there. Michael Negretti, Solvang, many pastries, a lot of great food. There's wine in Solvang, in the Santa Ynez. I don't drink wine, but where there's wine, there is great, great, great food. There really is. Let's see here. Thomas Wilson, the media is jealous. Okay. Yeah, there's something to it. Absolutely. Thomas Wilson, to be fair, Jeff Fisher was decent when he had Steve McNair as a starting quarterback. But, they never got back. They never got back after Super Bowl 34. Samuel Ansley, put a Jack Forbes and new tight end rookie on on PUP list, out 4 games, but will not count against the 53. We'll let them keep 3 bubble players. Oh, and we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of maneuvering there. I'm sure there is. Neil Gonzalez, when they were in St. Louis, they weren't disrespected until they went downhill. Yeah, and then it kind of became a Cardinal town again, right? Isn't it funny? Think about that. Rams had that town from 99 through 2001, and then slowly but surely, when did the Pujols Cardinals and Wainwright and Molina kind of take over? Was that about 2003, 2004, right? They kind of had that next great Cardinal run, and then the Rams were in serious trouble at that point. Manuel Vasquez. I think Stafford can start with just a week's practice, with the exception of Adams and Coleman. The offensive players will be the same, so he can run an efficient offense with that. I believe you. Forgotten. I thought the Raider fan base unraveled after relocating Las Vegas. Feels like they get taken over semi-frequently. Maybe there's a point to that. I just have some Raider fans in my life that I have ultimate pity for, is that they have been sad for 20 years. And then that one time they made the playoffs and Derek Carr breaks his leg. And who did they start? Connor Cook. Who was the guy they started? Remember the quarterback they had to start because they get him there. Carr gets him to the playoffs and he breaks his leg in the final week. So they've just been miserable forever, but they're just loyal fans. Steve Ramirez, I would think media would see under McVay, the Rams have won in the cold or 10 a.m. games, which used to be Rams kryptonite. They have. And I got to tell you, when it's cold, who's better than Stafford right now, right? Who's better than Stafford? I agree. I'm right there with you. Forgotten. Granted, here in SoCal, they're still fairly prominent. Connor Cook, their backup to the backup. There you go. Dano, haven't heard you for a while, Dan. Thanks for coming in. I'm concerned with our tackles not practicing with the unit. If the offensive line's not clicking, it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking. I have no concerns about Havenstein, 11th year, No concerns there. In fact, the less he's out there, I'm good. Alaric Jackson still, I think he's going to be ready. I think they've had 3 months to deal with this issue. They seem like they've moved past the life-threatening aspect of a blood clot, which seems like it would be. I think they're going to be uber cautious with him because if anything should happen, I'm flashing my bling again. If anything should happen with Alaric Jackson, can you imagine? The media will be all over the Rams then, right? And stuff. If anything should happen, so my guess is the Rams are just being doubly cautious with him, and so I'm not too worried right now. I'm feeling pretty confident, guys. Thanks for joining us. I do appreciate that. Hey, let's take a look around the NFL and other places. It's not official, I know, but doesn't Cam Little's 70-yard boot last weekend kind of fit into the but Hall of Fame, right? He kicks a 70-yarder. Canton has already claimed his shoe and his jersey. What a great thing for the kid, right? But I would say this, when someone kicks a 67-yarder in the regular season, breaks Justin Tucker's mark, isn't the refrain going to be, yeah, but Cam Little kicked a 70-yarder? And I know it's not going to be official, but it's always going to be in our head, right? Because everyone's seen it now. Everyone's talked about it, right? It's a new mark. It's not from 59 to 60 yards. It's from 60 to 70. It's the new marker there, and it's in Canton. So I do think, I don't know, is Matt Prater still around? I don't know. Whoever kicks a 67-yarder or a 68-yarder, they're going, oh, that's really great, right? Yeah, but Cam Little kicked a 70-yarder, and I think he's in the but Hall of Fame. So I think for Cam Little, I think he's got a great spot in history. I think before he's erased, someone's going to have to kick a 70-and-a-half-yarder, right, or a 71-yarder for him to get replaced. Let's see here. Tim Burns. Gruden said Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. He's nice, but no. Hey, John Gruden. I think John Gruden got railroaded. I think John Gruden was set up. I think John Gruden looked like a scalp they could give the woke crowd. But I'll say this, John Gruden, evaluating talent, some of the quarterbacks that he went after and brought in, it's like Joe Burrow's really good, but John Gruden, I don't want him evaluating my quarterback. I just don't. I hope he gets a job. I hope he's back on TV. I hope he wins an epic lawsuit against the NFL of how they go through 700,000 emails, but only his are the ones that have dubious language in them. Yeah, I don't know. There we go. Let's see here. Neil Gonzalez. I like Joe Cool. Thank you so much. ESG, we got our reputation from the 80s Lakers Showtime era in Hollywood. San Francisco got their reputation from the 80s of being a team that could win in the East in playoffs. I'll take a little bit of that. That was especially reinforced in 84 when the Celtics stole that series from the Lakers. But the Lakers came back, beat them in 85, beat them in 87, and got the upper hand. And they could get tough when they wanted to get tough. I think now this is really biased. I think the Lakers, the last option for the Lakers was to get tough because they were so talented. The option for the Celtics was when they got outclassed physically, they had to resort to some of that stuff. I will also say this. I don't know who was on the bench. Mark McNamara, Swen Nader, Chuck Nevitt. I don't know who the 12th guy was. I don't know, Mike McGee, Jim Brewer, Eddie Jordan. I'm trying to think who was the 12th man on the 83-84 Lakers that when old Anvil had Kevin McHale decapitated Kurt Rambis. Whoever that guy was should have sprinted from his end of the floor and just cold-cocked McHale. I'm not saying Magic should, Worthy should, no one value, but somebody should have swung, not just argue, but that one always bugged me. Someone should have taken a swing. I think that series might have turned out differently. Also, I will say my opinion of Mike Piazza changed after the 2000 World Series when he fractured that bat and Clemens threw it at him. I really felt like Piazza should have gone after him, and he didn't. And now I'm not just saying that because I was rooting for the Mets. It was just, it's like sometimes, it's like Kenny Rogers saying, I promised you, Dad, not to do the things you've done, but I walked away from trouble when I could. But please don't think I'm weak. I didn't turn the other cheek. Sometimes you got to fight when you're a man. So, yeah. ESG, you took me down a rabbit hole. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, I wish the Rams would get rid of these colors and look. I like the old horns. I wouldn't buy any merchandise with this logo. The uniform is the last thing I care about. I just don't want to see a black jersey. And again, this plays off to that whole rant I did about Demoff and how the Rams work with their base. They just need to treat themselves as if they were a blue blood. This franchise has been around since 36, 37. They were the first franchise with helmet emblems. You don't need to bounce and change things, right? You set the marker, right? Let's see. Are you going to do an all sports topic podcast? Yes, that is currently in the works. I am in this middle ground on vacation right now because I was supposed to be in Vermont today, driving to Maine today. That's where I was supposed to be. And so I couldn't do that. I've done 3 funerals in 8 days. So my schedule got thrown off, but that is definitely the plan. When I'm back from vacation, there will be officially back from vacation. There will be a all sports podcast that I'll probably won't open initially up to a whole chat concept. I'll probably record it and then put it up here, at least for now to start, because I put together about 32 minutes of material every time I come with you guys, but the participation with you guys extends it to plus 50 minutes, sometimes over an hour. And I don't have time to do that with the all sports podcast I'm going to do. This could be called RamView, which is named after my old sports column. But thank you for asking, Neil. ESG. Then again, the Lakers don't seem to get the bias at them. Yeah, that's true. Lakers didn't get that as much, but man, back in the 80s, man, you had to be a communist, right? You had to be a Brezhnev, Cheryenko, and drop-off type to not like Magic Johnson, right? I mean, come on. Yeah, I hear you. Tim Burns, hires Sophie Cunningham to smack McHale. I take Sophie on that. Isn't she like a Taekwondo or black belt champ? Manuel Vasquez, no black jersey. That just looks horrible. Fully, totally, 100% agree with you, amigo. There we go. Around the NFL and other places, keep on going there. Lions apparently roughed up the Dolphins in a practice today. Several platforms are reporting this. I didn't get any of the real details. I think Tua struggled a bit. But I think the truth is, to quote Dickie V, is Mike McDaniel could be looking at the Ziggy this season. I really do. I think he's on the hot seat. Bills extend running back James Cook, 4 years, 48 rocks. Shedeur Sanders has an oblique injury, which is interesting. That's going to be a bummer for him, unable to capitalize on what he did last Friday night. Another one coming up back to forgotten locale. The Cowboys are dealing with Micah Parsons for a new deal. And now Deron Bland brought up, since he's in the last year of his contract, he's hoping to have a new deal done before week 1. Jerry, yeah, I don't know what to say about Jerry. Browns waive former UCLA, Oregon wide receiver Chase Cota. Vikings put Rondale Moore, former Purdue Boilermaker. He was drafted by the Cardinals, expected to do something. He's bounced around. They put him on the IR. Texans have signed former Rams offensive lineman Connor McDermott, who never made the field last year. And they've also signed former Charger tight end Trey McKitty. And just for fun, I feel so much fun reading this. The Green Bay Packers just signed Tyrion Davis-Price. Does anyone know who Tyrion Davis-Price is? Tyrion Davis-Price was a third-round pick, 93 overall, in 2022 out of LSU by, drumroll please, the San Francisco 49ers. Top 100 pick, running back, third round. He gave Fog City 120 yards on 40 carries in 7 games over 2 seasons. Played 1 game in Philly last year, 6 weeks in Tennessee this summer, and was just signed by the Packers. This was a top 100 pick. And you don't want to know why the 49ers are having some issues. They keep missing on their draft picks. Speaking of former Rams.
They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
Speaking of former Rams, OBJ, 32, says he's not done, and apparently there are teams interested. And this is kind of sad news. It came a little bit late. Maybe he was out there earlier, but I just saw it. Former Rams offensive coordinator, wide receiver coach, Lionel Taylor. He was the Rams OC in 1980-81. They said he was the first African-American OC. I don't remember that. Or maybe just then they didn't make a deal out of it. He passed away on August 6th at the age of 89. He caught 100 passes in 1961 for the Denver Broncos. And those Bronco teams in their AFL days were pretty bad. And he caught 100 passes. Now, I don't know who he caught them from. Was it Jackie Lee? Was it Tobin Road? I'm not sure who he caught it from. I think I knew it one time. But sad passing prayers to him and his family for Lionel Taylor. It's always a name that you knew. Chargers, my question about the Chargers is, what is going on with Mekhi Becton? They're saying he's working through it. He's going to be fine. He's going to meetings and everything. But it's kind of gotten especially important now with Rashawn Slater lost for the season. That whole right side of their of the Bolts offensive line now is up in the air. Joe Alt has gone from right tackle to left tackle, and Trey Pipkin is now at right tackle, and now right guard, not knowing what's up with Mekhi Becton. Should be interesting. And then the other one I wanted to throw, because I've had several conversations about it, should Tyler Heineke, who will be the backup quarterback, I think, should he be a little worried about Trey Lance? Has Trey Lance played really well? I mean, I don't know if you're ready to go into a season with Trey Lance as your number 2. Are you? But I don't know. Trey Lance, I don't know. I just like the way he's handled himself. I think he's done well. And then this one came up about the Raiders. Apparently someone had a sign there in Seattle that said bigger bust, Geno or Jamarcus Russell. And I think it was either Pete Carroll or somebody alluded that that's borderline racism, and that the only argument you can do to compare Geno to Jamarcus Russell is that they are both black. I guess you could say that, but you could also say both played for the Raiders, right? So maybe it's not all about color. And by that logic, anytime you compare Caleb Williams to Patrick Mahomes, couldn't that be racist as well? How about comparing a pocket guy that stands back and throws down the field like Joe Namath to Dan Marino? Would that be racist? How about Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson? Would that be racist? Just throwing it out there for folks to think about. Before we get to the NFC West, let's keep moving on here. Let's see. ESG Lions back to their dirty ways. Ooh, stirred some momentum there with the Lions. Neil Gonzalez, thanks, Pastor Joe. Dan O, anyone attending the Texans game? First SoFi game for me. Any tips? I've heard the parking's expensive. I have not worked a Ram game at SoFi since it's been open. I've been there. But I did some work there, but I have not seen a game there. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. And I hope to be there with Kistler Law sometime this year, I'm told. But I would just get there early. And bring a bundle because it's super expensive. But good for you, Dano. Give us a report when you go. Manny Vasquez, we're going to get to see what kind of coach Lyons Campbell really is instead of him riding the coattails of his OC. You know, man, I think Campbell's okay. Campbell's the guy that brought those dudes with him. He knew who he wanted. And he creates a culture that, you know, those guys had a chance to jet earlier and they stuck it out for an extra season. Brad Holmes is also a great GM. And so I don't expect them to have a huge drop-off in terms of that. You know, maybe there'll be some growing pains there for some of their OCDC stuff, but I don't think it's I do like Campbell. I do. He's not Sean McVay, but I do like him. Steve Ramirez, Shadur is hurt and likely not to play this week. Doesn't an oblique linger? I mean, oblique is kind of a serious deal, right? Thanks, Steve. Neil Gonzalez, the type I have is to arrive early so you can walk around because it's really a nice venue and walk around the tailgate section. It's wild. I think Neil is absolutely right. Tim Burns, everyone talk up Torrey Holt to people this season. Get him in the hall. All right. And while you're mentioning Torrey Holt, mention Don Klosterman as a contributor. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, former Rams Robinson is looking at a possible Demarcus Robinson, possible suspension. 49ers wide receiver room is getting smaller and smaller, and I'm loving it. Yep. Yeah. He's going to miss a game or two. Something's going to happen there with DeMarcus. Yeah, there's a lot of trouble there in Frisco. Dano appreciates Neil. Tim Burns, Raider fan in my world, like Cam Miller. It may be a thing at some point, Raider fan. Help me with that one. Neil Gonzalez, you're welcome. Have a great time. USA Expat, Kroenke should roll out the red carpet for your first game at SoFi. Are you saying that for me or Neil? Let him roll out for Neil. I'll be good with that. Then he can give me a report. All right. Thank you, USA Expat. Fog City. Reports say 7th-round pick Connor Colby, 6'6", 309 out of Iowa. Big Ten offensive lineman. Iowa is where Alaric Jackson came from. Rob Havenstein went to the Big Ten. He's in from Wisconsin. Good guys, right? Rams won a Super Bowl with David Edwards at left guard, Wisconsin guy. But they said with Ben Barch hurt, who's not very good, doesn't have a big track record, and his immediate backup, Nick Zackelje, who was a 6th-round pick last year, he's been stepped over by Colby. So I know as a Ram fan, I would always be excited about a 7th-rounder getting positive news. So as a Ram fan, this would excite me. But as a 49er observer and hearing the KBM proclaim not only that the 49ers are not only a threat in the NFC West, but also in the NFC, what I see is when they're talking about a 7th-rounder playing left guard on Trent Williams' hip, I see desperation, and I love it. I think it's great. I think it's good news for the Rams. Jake Brendel is a middle-of-the-road center. He's getting long in age. Colton McKivitz is a middle-of-the-road right tackle. Dominic Puny had a good year last year. He's the right guard, but he's young and stuff. So I love this for the Rams. Seahawks, Tony Horton, who played well against the Raiders, seems to have passed MVS, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, for the 3rd wide receiver spot with Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. And if you notice, everyone is jumping on the Gray Zabel bandwagon, and we beat them to it when we were talking about it last week or on Monday. But even if Zabel is lights out and Charles Cross, the left tackle, continues to play well, the rest of that line remains a mystery. At center, at right guard, and we got to find out about Abraham Lucas if he can capture some of that middle-of-the-road form he had as a rookie in 2022. Just stuff to throw out there. All right. I think we got it. Let's see. All right. Did I have other stuff in there? Did I get it all in? All right. I think it's this day in Rams history. All right.
It was a stone groove, my man.
Yeah. All right. This day in Rams history. August 13th, 1975, Rams trade tight end Pat Curran and another dude, Howard Strickland, to the Chargers for a 3rd-round pick in 1977. That 3rd-round pick becomes Ed Fulton. Not much came from there, but Curran, who only caught about 7 passes with the Rams in his 7 years with the team from 69 through 6 years with the team, 69 through 74, goes there and in 1975 catches 45 passes for Tommy Prothro's Chargers. And then sure enough, within a year or two, what's his name? Bob Klein is traded to the Chargers, and Curran loses his job to Bob Klein. Curran goes on. I think he ends up in the booth there. And then, Klein loses his job to a dude named Kellen Winslow. You ever heard of him? That's pretty interesting. August 13 is the official date. The Rams fired George Allen and promoted Ray Malavasi. Also, Derwin Tucker and Sid Justin were released on this date in 1980. Anyone remember those guys? Sid Justin was considered a long shot to make the team, but he made the team, and then he got hurt, and different things happened, and he came back, and he appeared in 13 games in the 1979 season because the Rams were decimated. He got a pick. He also returned a blocked field goal. I think it was against the 49ers for a touchdown, but on that run, he popped a hamstring. This was December, and he missed the rest of the season. He missed the Super Bowl run, but he was a contributor on that 79 team. And then he comes back in 1980, and he doesn't make the team and got cut on this day in 1980. Fortunately for him, he bounced around the NFL a little bit, had a musical career, lasted in the industry, and so he had a nice career post-football, so good for him. Crenshaw graduate, Long Beach State grad. Sid Justin. I always remembered him because I loved that blocked kick return, and he made it to the end zone after popping the hamstring. Derwin Tucker Who's Derwin Tucker? Well, in 1977, the Rams traded James Harris to the Chargers for a fourth-round pick in 1979. That fourth-round pick, number 99 overall, was a guy named Derwin Tucker out of the University of Illinois. He had a great career there. But in that 1979 camp, 2 weeks into it, he packed his bags and went home. Wanted to finish his degree, kind of lost focus. And, it's kind of interesting as a fourth-round pick, this dude might have been on the field. This dude might have got playing time for a Super Bowl team, and he walked away. He came back in 1980 for another shot, but was cut on this day in 1980. Top 100 pick, and the Rams missed on that one. Born on this day, turning 28 years old, A.J. Curry is now 28, and I'm sorry, born on this day, A.J. Curry. Tomorrow, the aforementioned Sid Justin turns 71. And there we go. I think we got it all in. We're at the 50-minute mark. All right. I think we got it. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, Curran's biggest role with the Rams was telling Knox they were inches from the goal line in the 74 title game before his false start. Did he really say that? I know he got the false start, but did he really say that, Steve? Let's see. Manny Vasquez. Malavasi had a great defense in the mid-70s. I personally think that's one of the most underrated defense. Absolutely. I can't even right? I don't even take the front four. Take the front four up through 76. That front four was all those guys could have gotten Hall of Fame consideration. Maybe the least likely is Fred Dryer. All right. But all of them should have got a Super Bowl or two, and they all would have got Hall of Fame consideration, speaking mostly of Brooks. Jack Reynolds, in any other world, and he's kind of in that log jam, right? When the NFL morphed to the 3-4, a lot of teams went to that 34, less static defenses. That middle linebacker who was the quarterback of the defense in those days. You knew who the middle linebackers were on teams like you knew who the starting quarterback was, right? You just knew who these guys were. And yet, so he's in a log jam behind Leroy Jordan, Tommy Nobis, all these guys that eventually Bill Berge. You just name the guys that were in the NFC as middle linebackers. And he was just kind of the guy that was kind of floating around out there. Harry Carson, right? Berge with the Eagles. Lesser names like Jeff Seaman with the Vikings, Jim Carter with the Packers. There's just a bunch of names that were out there. I said Nobis with the Falcons. There were just a lot of names, Butkus had kind of, was still a starter in 73, but that was Reynolds' first year as a starter, so he wasn't really a logjam. Mike Lucci was a great middle linebacker for the Lions. He played into the 70s. But Reynolds goes to the 3 Super Bowls, wins 2. And he's a Hall of Famer. Isaiah Robertson should have been a Hall of Famer. Maybe Jim Youngblood, Hall of the Very Good. Ken Geddes was good. Dave Elmendorf, the Mike Wagner, the Steelers Mike Wagner version, right? I'll always be pro Rod Perry and Pat Thomas. So this was one of the greatest defenses ever. And just because we trusted Pat Hayden, right? They couldn't get off Pat Hayden. It didn't work out, right? But you know what? When I write the alternate history of Burt Jones coming to the Rams in the mid-70s, all that's going to be fixed, right? All that's going to be fixed. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, Curran used his hands to show Knox. It was shown in the NFL Films highlights. Oh, I'll have to look at that. Like this? Did he do that? Oh, that's sickening. That's just heartbreaking. Do we have to bring that up? All right. I think we got it all in. I think we get football Friday night. Is that when we get football? We don't get any Thursday games this week. All right. I think we're good. Guys, thanks for hanging with me. I know it's a hot day. I know I got some ambient background noise, but I needed the fan on because I am boiling. All right, guys. God bless. Manny, Tim. Great high school ESPN game this week. Grand High School Sacramento versus Folsom High School. All right. I'll keep a eye out for that. Manny, Dano, Tim Powers, Tim Burns, Neil Gonzalez, ESG, Forgotten Locale. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out there. Steve, take care, guys. God bless.